Hi everyone, welcome to another table talk. So I just wanted to briefly discuss my initial impressions of a new motor, or a motor that's new to me. This is the RCINPOWER GTS2306 version 2 2750 kV motor. I picked this one up from Banggood. I'll have a link down below that you can go check it out. One of the main reasons that I picked this up was that I had read on Ryan Harrell's miniquadtestbench.com website that the V1 of this motor was actually rated as a little bit more powerful than the GEP RC 2306 2750 motor, which is currently has been for a long time my favorite motor of all the motors that I've tested. So anyway, I thought I'd pick this one up. This is the version 2. Very well made motor. Whoops. It's what's called a naked bottom. There's not really any bottom on the motor. There's just a little lip on the bottom of the bell here that sort of help hold the magnets in. It has a 16 by 16 bolt pattern, which is fine. I can still use these X style motor mounts. I've been running the GEP RC like that for a long time. Just with 2 screws and touch wood. I haven't had one come loose yet. Really good, nice strong magnets. Really tight air gap. Everything's put together really well. It actually looks very similar to the GEP RC in the guts part, other than the bells a little bit different. I kept the motor wires on. Let me just measure them here roughly. About 5.5 inches long, I guess, which is about 140, 150 millimeters. I like to leave the longer wires on because in case, depending on where I need to put my speed controller, then I don't have to add in any extra extensions. And these are fairly lightweight. I think it's 20 gauge wire. Anyway, another thing I just wanted to point out here on this motor, hopefully you can see this sort of white around the shaft. Sometimes what happens with these motors, you might get a shaft that's or a prop that you've been using for a while, and the hub is getting a little worn on the inside. What I've found is I just use this just Teflon. I always call it plumber's tape, Teflon plumber's tape. Pick it up at the hardware store for dirt cheap. I just wrap a little tiny bit of that around the shaft, and that helps lots of times help the prop fit nice and snug on the shaft. So this one has a hollow shaft. It also has a little screw on the bottom, so if you ever needed to replace the bell or pull the motor apart in order to clean it or whatever, it's a lot easier than messing around with C-clips. But I think that's pretty much the standard now in quad motors. Now I've just should have said this earlier, but I've been flying it in a park jet, a foam park jet similar to this, so I haven't actually used it on a quad, but it's worked out really well. I've been flying it with the Hobby Wing Platinum Pro 40 amp speed controller on both 3S and 4S, using custom settings of 26.25 degrees on the timing and 8 kilohertz on the PWM frequency. This is an expensive speed controller, but by far it's my favorite speed controller, I think, of all time. It can just take a horrendous amount of punishment. I've never had any issues with it thus far. So I've been running it on 2 props. My favorite for 3S is the 6x4 APC gas. It's my favorite. I just love this prop on 3S. And on 4S, in order to try and keep the amps down, I've been running it on a 6x3 EMP, TGS, KMP, depending on whether you get them from RC Timer, Hobby King, or Banggood. So again, I'll have links to where I get this stuff down below. The batteries I've been using, Gens Ace 2200 3S. Again, a bit more expensive battery, but super powerful and reliable. And 4S, I'm running the Tattoo R-Line 1550 4S75C. Okay, so let's get to its performance. Essentially, I don't think the numbers actually are a little bit different on the bench. I was worried that it was actually, based on the numbers, it wasn't going to perform quite as well as the GEP RC motor. I've had 3 good flight sessions on it now, so about 25 flights, I think. I really can't tell the difference. So I think it's a definite equal to the GEP RC 2306 2750. Some slight differences that I've noticed thus far, and again, I ran it on 4S just on the very first session. It did come down a little bit hotter than the GEP RC does sometimes on 4S, but maybe as I get more flights in it and get it a little bit more broken in, it won't run as hot. I have noticed especially in the last session, that now that the bearings have been worn a little bit, the bearings actually feel a bit smoother than they did at the start, and smoother than the GEP RC motor. So we'll see how that goes long term. Hopefully it doesn't mean that the bearings are going to wear out prematurely. But yeah, it's a very, very good motor. It's very, very powerful. It's about equal, I think, in efficiency. It's about equal to the GEP RC. On the bench, it wasn't cranking out some of the numbers that the GEP RC did, but it did it at a slightly lower amp draw. It could be difference in time of year that I've tested them. I'm not really sure, but anyway, full price. It's actually more expensive than the GEP RC motor. Maybe it does have better quality bearings in it. I'm not sure. But I picked this up on sale, and it was a little bit cheaper than the GEP RC motor was at the time. So yeah, very, very pleased with it thus far. Those are my initial impressions. So a few weeks, months down the road, when I've got 100 or more flights on it, some more 4S punishment, that sort of stuff, I'll give you a bit of a midterm update. So there we go, folks. Again, please check out down below for the link to this motor, RCINPOWER GTS2306 version 2 2750, plus all these components, plus I'll have links to the 2 flight videos that I've posted on 3S and 4S with this motor, and my motor test spreadsheet. So if you want to go compare the numbers between the RCINPOWER and the GEP RC or any other motor, you can do that. So thanks very much for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.